I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Hello my darlings and welcome to Get Real Weird With It, where I read weird, fringe, alternative, or just less mainstream books. The first book I read for this reading vlog was The Sofa by Sam Munson. This was a psychological, suburban, weird, absurdist lit fic. It is about a man whose life unravels when his couch is stolen and replaced by a really vintage looking sofa. It ends up causing some weird shit to happen, including a reality where ownership, identity, and sanity quietly slip out of reach. This is about Montessori. Montessori just wanted to have the perfect couch for his house, but someone be fucking with him. And naturally, he does what any reasonable person would do in this scenario. Calls the police and reports a couch crime has been committed. From there, toilets become musicals, mirrors start showing other men in their reflections, neighbors are casually reporting interdimensional burglars, and cats get killed. One second. I did shut the door to keep the dryer noise low, but the cats don't like closed doors. So all of this weird stuff happens just because the sofa has been changed. This was a very slow, strange, and unsettling book where the horror is this wrongness that is just creeping into their life. It also leans very heavily into the absurdity. The main themes in this were ownership versus control. Do we own our things or do our things own us? The fragility of reality, domestic instability and marriage strain, the uncanny in everyday life, and obsession and unraveling. I will read you a quote. I will also mention this was written in a very unique style, and you'll see what I mean when I read it out. His youngest son said, "Look, it's going the same direction as we are." His older son said, "Don't be stupid, it's just chance. Right, Dad?" Montessori said, "I think it's probably a coincidence, but then again, you never know." His wife said, "I think it's going the same direction as we are. And I think that's good because it's keeping the front seat nice and shady." It should be noted here that this Montessori, our Montessori, was related neither to the hygienic hangman who shared his name, nor to the famous inventor of kindergarten. He smiled the smile of just such a non-related man as he listened to his wife and children talking about the truck, fate, and shade from the sun, their voices mixing with the cool breeze and the sky getting redder. They stopped for a long dinner at a restaurant, as they always did after going to the beach. His sons were excited and happy. His wife leaned against Montessori's arm and drowsed a little in the booth. By the time they left, it was dark. The green-black darkness that falls in the summer. You know all about it. The vibe check for this book is giving moldy furniture, old hats, and sketchy underpasses. I ended up giving this a 3 stars. I found it frustrating how he just could not get rid of the couch, and he did try. It wasn't from want of trying or lack of trying. He was doing whatever he could to try and get the couch removed from the premises, but he kept getting couch blocked by a lot of different things, but it was just frustrating to read. The lengths he ends up going to at the end is probably what I would have resorted to much earlier on. I did absolutely hate the cat death that occurred in this. I could see that it was going to happen and I was pissed when it did happen. So that is always going to upset me and make me take points off out of spite. And also the fact that you're left without any concrete answers as to what and why. Also the fact that it was written oddly. It almost felt like I was reading translated fiction. It's hard for me to describe what I mean by the odd cadence and structure of the writing, but that's the best that I can do. But I gave it a 3 stars. Like I said, the premise was intriguing enough for me to continue on with it, and it is a very short book. I think you would like this book if you are fans of very quiet, creeping horror, and if you enjoy nothing is technically wrong, but everything is wrong vibes. Similar books or films, I would say The Moustache and The Extra. The next book I read is Lili is Crying, hello darling, by Hélène Bessette. It is translated by Briggs. This was This is a classic experimental domestic lit fic, and it is about a mother and daughter who spiral through obsessive love, jealousy, codependency, and melodramas in a very fractured, poetic-like narrative. Lili cries. Charlotte hates Lily's husband. Everyone yells. A screw in the wall becomes a hill to die on. Someone threatens death. Occasionally, something actually serious happens. Melodrama on repeat. So the plot in this is very secondary to the rhythm, repetition, and emotional intensity of the novel. The very short, broken lines creates this very jagged, breathless tempo. It's like overhearing an argument through a wall. The characters like to repeat lines in this, and it turns the everyday life into something ritualistic. It's as if these characters are trapped in a loop of toxic patterns. Do not, Bluebell. Okay, what was I saying? Sorry, Bluebell. They did jump up and knock everything down. There's no emotional baseline in this story. There is no sort of calm to contrast with the storms. So for me, reading this novel did feel rather exhausting, and at times the drama borders on parody. Everyone is always on the verge of a breakdown over everything. The main themes in this were suffocating maternal love, possession versus independence, domestic claustrophobia, and emotional hysteria. I will read you a quote from the book. Henry ditched me, but I know where he lives. I'll find him and get him back. It's impossible, says Lili. What she means is that Marta's unhappiness is impossible. It's a word of consolation pronounced without conviction and without hope. It's a thing women say, a saying that means nothing. Marta is no fool. Hold on to your happiness, she says. Go after your happiness and bring it back. Me, in my life, I am for happiness, for this kind of happiness. And if it eludes me, I'll make others all around me. Red happiness to crunch on in the sun like pomegranates I put in your basket. I need love so badly, I'm sick with it. Vibe check for this book. It's giving 1940s provincial kitchens, rotting fruit, heated arguments, laundry whipping violently in the Mediterranean wind, and a house that feels too small for the emotions inside it. I gave this book 3 stars. The style of it was interesting enough for me to continue with it. Like I said, the emotional repetition and melancholy and anger, and I'm not a huge fan of family toxicity and drama, so things like that feels heavy to me, and so I don't find it enjoyable to read about such topics. But yeah, I did give it 3 stars. I think you would enjoy it if you like experimental form-breaking fiction, if you're into poetic prose and repetition, and if you want messy, toxic, all-consuming relationships. Similar books and films to this, I would say Bluets and The Book of Mother. The final book I read for this reading vlog was my first book by Levy. I am obsessed with this cover. This is a quirky coming-of-age literary fiction. It is a chaotic, hyper-online portrait of Gen Z trying to build an identity whilst being raised by the internet. They are mini essays. Some people might say, short stories, maybe a little bit of autofiction thrown in there, that is generally just about a group of teenagers and 20-somethings who are scrolling their way through life while debating God, love, and just random shit. Reading this book felt like opening 20 browser tabs inside someone's brain who is deeply steeped in internet culture. The stories I found do capture the very strange emotional atmosphere of growing up online, where sincerity and irony just constantly collide. The characters in the book are experiencing things like politics, religion, sexuality, and romance through memes, discourse, and endless digital noise. The tone of this book would shift between funny, surreal, wacky, and wise. At times, to me, the stories felt intentionally fragmented or chaotic, and I think it was trying to mimic the way that online life disrupts identity and your attention. And I think overall, It was just a very experimental and very of the moment debut that captures the strange cultural mood of the early 2000s onwards. The main themes in this collection were of identity formation in digital culture, political anxiety and cultural collapse, religion and existential questioning, romance in the age of memes and hyper-awareness and self-consciousness. The vibe check of this, it's giving chronically online, chaotic group chat energy, and Tumblr essays meets literary fiction. I gave this a 3.5. It was very childlike nostalgia, even though I am a millennial. This I could still relate to some things. I have a Gen Z daughter and a Gen A daughter. The book is giving manic Zoomer brain rot essays / short stories. Some bits are really interesting. Some bits are a flop, and there's a lot of repetition. Is it genius or is it garbage? As a millennial, I am stuck in the middle, loving it and hating it and loving it. So I settled on a 3.5. I'm going to read you an excerpt so you can get an idea of what it's like. He wanted to tell the whole World Wide Web how he felt. She's so hot, I want to clean her room, rescue her, White Knight defend her in comments and battle. Why is she so perfect? But he'd have to play it cool, chill, Sigma, no simping. Alcibiades, that's me. The Last Samurai, I'm him. I'm literally him. I'm Ryan Gosling in Drive. I'm American Psycho. I'm Joker. I'm Taxi Driver. He'd stand above her, tall and strong. She'd stare up at him with her shining her shining animal eyes, her real eyes, real lies, wondering what he was thinking. He'd stare into them and then he'd sit beside her, very close, take a breath and say, "Damn, bitch, you live like this?" Like Max to Roxanne from a Goofy Movie 1995 from the meme 2016. That is just a taste of the style. I think some people really won't jive with the style, but like I said, I found it somewhat entertaining, somewhat relatable, somewhat absolutely chaotic, brain rot, nonsense, what the fuck. I think you would like this book if you were interested in reading books that are mostly about internet culture in literature. If you like metrosexuals and neopets, and if you were just a fan of very experimental Gen Z coded writing. Similar books, no one is talking about this, Sex Goblin, and maybe I'm a Fan. It has a more light-hearted tone, so even though something else that's chronically online, like Rejection, that's heavy, this isn't heavy. Okay, I'm just popping in here. Yes, I have already taken the majority of my makeup off. I realized I forgot to sum up the books I read. So I read The Sofa by Sam Munson, which I gave a 3 stars. This is Why You Don't Trust Secondhand Furniture. Lili is Crying by Hélène Bessette, translated by Kate Briggs. I gave this 3 stars. Mother Knows Best, and She Will Scream About It. And my favorite read of this reading vlog was my first book by honor, Levy, which I gave 3.5 stars. Coming of age, but everyone is chronically online. Those were all the books that I read for this reading vlog. Let me know in the comments one thing you really miss from the early 2000s. And until next time, stay wild, star child.
We are the weirdos, mister.